Hello, welcome to this ERP lessons. In this lesson, we will be learning about the purchase module, maybe in one or two videos. This is the overall purchase module, what we have, which is in a second phase is integrated to the finance. So basically, you have a purchase setup where you create the item groups, subgroups, and other setups. And then you have purchase masters where you have material master, vendor master, and manufacturer master. This manufacturer master is meant mostly for the pharmacy companies and not applicable to all other companies. So having set up this, and the purchase activity can happen in different branches in a specific financial year. Now coming to the after the setup and masters, we have the transactions. In the transactions, we have the purchase indent. A purchase indent is something which is raised by any user or a department. It could be any material which may be required for the use in the office or in the production or for any other trading reason also. If he has to buy, he can indent the material. The same indent is also called as purchase requisition in some of the companies. So when the purchase indent is raised by the person, the purchase indent, you have to create the different line items which you want. And of course, you can print if required. Okay. And this need to be approved. So these approval stages, we have two or three stages where the purchase indent can be approved. These stages are generally named as first is the entry, second is verification, third is approval, fourth is posting. It is not necessary that all the people must have all the four stages, but the data entry stage and the final posting stage are mandatory for all type of documents, whether it is purchase order, purchase indent, sales order, or bank receipt or bank payment, etc. And once any document is posted, that document cannot be altered under any circumstances. So in the approvals, basically it moves stage by stage and then gets finally approved, the purchase indent. Based on the purchase indent, this RFQ module is also an add-on. This is not a basic feature of the prime ERP. Okay. Based on the purchase indent lines, the purchase department can send a request for quotation or RFQ. Okay. And the vendors will send the RFQ and you approve, and maybe you can create a comparison chart in that. Next, after the purchase intent and RFQ is finalized, you have purchase order. So you create purchase order on vendors who are generally approved vendors. Then in each of the line, you create purchase order lines. And these purchase order lines can be These purchase order lines can be directly added into a purchase order without a purchase indent, or can be picked from the purchase indent. And of course, once the order is completed, it is picked into the goods receipt. Coming to picking from the purchase indent, if the purchase indent is for say 10 tons of material, You may pick 8 ton in one purchase order, maybe 2 tons in another purchase order. However, every purchase order has what is called a variance. That means a purchase order which is for 10 tons, no vendor can supply exactly 10.00 tons. So generally a tolerance limit, maybe it could be 1% or 5% is allowed to be given in the purchase order. So in the purchase order, basically in the purchase order head, you basically pick the vendors, okay, and in the purchase order lines, you basically pick the material. Similarly, in the indent lines also, you will pick. In the indent, optionally, you can indicate the vendor name, but it is just for information to purchase department, and that is not binding on them. Then after approval of the purchase order can be mailed to the vendor, and the vendor receives and acknowledgement take place, etc. Now comes the next stage is the goods receipt. And when a material is received in the purchase order itself, we can indicate various things like the delivery terms and when the material is required, what is the GST applicable, and terms and conditions, all those things. So the GRN is prepared once the material is received in the stores or the branch where it is applicable. And the GRN also has lines. Here also we have given a provision that you can add a GRN without a purchase order. It might sound not right, but in practical scenarios, there may be a lot of occasions you may just buy some emergency item from the market and get it. Like, say, for example, you found that some 10 tube lights have failed and you want to go to the market, buy the tube lights and give it to the stores, and they will prepare the goods receipt for those tube lights. So that generally the purchase indent, purchase order, GRN line is must be followed as much as possible. But however, we have given a provision in our ERP that they can be bypassed optionally, and if the user does not want it to happen, we can disable that bypassing feature in the application. So similarly, you have the goods receipt approval, and this at this time you may decide whether the GST is to be claimed or refund. GST refund must be claimed or not. Based on that, the evaluation is done. And similarly, the GRN is also posted. The stages are approval, verify, post, whatever it is. Of course, sometimes there could be a purchase return, which can happen. So the general good manufacturing practice is whatever the material that is received from the customer vendor, you accept as it is. I mean, not accept, enter as it is, so that the GST amount, everything will be same. And when you claim the GST, that will not create any problem. Subsequently, when the material is rejected, you just write a purchase return. So this GRN till the stage of purchase indent, RFQ, purchase order, there is no financial entries are made. Once the GRN is posted, a purchase JV is created into a new module called finance module by crediting the vendor and debiting the purchases account. Similarly, when purchase return is made, the reverse entry, that is, you will be debiting the vendor, crediting the purchase return. So there also you will be doing a same model and the approval process takes place. Of course, you have a lot of reports, registers, it is just a listing, generic reports, statutory reports such as the GST report or GST, IGST and all that. Here one more point you have to keep in mind is when you are defining a vendor, you must define the state code applicable for that vendor and the state code of the branch. So when a material is received against a branch, the application will check in the goods receipt whether the vendor state and the state of delivery are same. In that case, CGST, SGST, or whatever is applicable. And if those two states are different, then the IGST is interstate. IGST is made applicable. Okay, that marking is very important, and one has to be very careful. Some exception report like what is the pending orders and how much more is supplied and all those things. And we have also have dynamic reports. We call it choose reports or dynamic reports and all that. We have also the applicable dashboards. So this is just the first lesson of the purchase module to give an overview of the purchase application. However, we will just take you in very fast cut. This is our purchase module. Okay, we have the purchase setup where you have the item groups, material categories, and all that. Then you have the material master or purchase master where you have the materials you can edit and see on the right side coming the details coming up. It could be under chemicals or computers or whatever it is. Well, when you edit, you will see the records, purchase posting, and all that. Then similarly, you have the purchase transactions where you have the indent, purchase order, goods receipt, returns, and project based. If your company is a project management company, you have that also. So then, of course, you have some dashboards which are there. It could be belonging to purchase or HR or payroll and all that. With this brief introduction, I would like to conclude.